there is something almost everyone carries through life without ever questioning. A quiet but constant feeling that says, I am here. A sense that somewhere inside this body, behind the eyes and beneath the thoughts, there is a solid me, watching everything happen. We wake up with it. We speak from it. We defend it. When someone calls our name, we answer without hesitation, as if responding to something unquestionable. This is me. This life is mine. No one teaches us this feeling. We are not trained to believe it. It simply appears, naturally, as soon as awareness arises, and because it feels so familiar, so intimate, we rarely stop to ask where it came from, or whether it is truly what we think it is. Yet beneath this sense of self lives a deep and silent fear, a fear many people carry but seldom put into words. If there is no permanent me inside, then who am I, really? For many, this question is terrifying, because without a fixed self, something feels unstable. People fear disappearing, not being remembered, not continuing, not existing at all. Others fear meaninglessness, wondering whether life has any value if there is no enduring core behind it. And almost everyone, at some point, fears death, not just the pain of dying, but the idea that I might be lost forever. These fears are not weaknesses, they are deeply human. They arise because we care, because we feel, because we are aware. And yet, what if the very idea we are clinging to, this solid, unchanging me, is also the source of that fear? What if the anxiety does not come from losing the self, but from misunderstanding what we truly are? This is where the Buddhist perspective begins, not by asking you to believe anything new, but by gently inviting you to look, directly and honestly, at your own experience. Across cultures and centuries, humans have searched for something stable inside themselves. Many traditions answer this search with the idea of a soul, an invisible core that never changes, a true essence, a center that remains untouched by time, illness, or death. For many people, the belief in a soul feels comforting. It offers safety in an uncertain world. If there is something permanent inside, then perhaps loss is not final. Perhaps death is only a doorway, not an ending. Perhaps I will continue, even when everything else falls away. This belief helps people sleep at night. It softens the fear of dying. It gives meaning to suffering by suggesting that something pure remains untouched beneath it all. And yet, quietly, a tension begins to form. If the soul is unchanging, why does life feel so fragile? Why does happiness come and go? Why does the same person who feels kind today feel angry tomorrow? Why do we grow, regret, heal, and break again and again? If there is a perfect, stable core inside us, why does pain reach so deeply? Why does confusion still arise? Why does suffering feel so personal? This is the unspoken conflict many people live with. They want to believe in something permanent, to feel less afraid. But the more closely they observe their own lives, the harder it becomes to reconcile that belief with lived experience. The soul promises certainty, but daily life tells a story of constant change. And so a quiet question lingers beneath the surface, rarely spoken, but deeply felt. If something within me never changes, why does everything I experience keep changing? When the Buddha addressed this question, he did not attack belief with argument or force. He did not tell people they were wrong or foolish for seeking permanence. Instead, he invited them to look carefully, honestly, and directly at their own experience. What he pointed to was subtle, yet radical. The teaching of anatta, often translated as no self, does not say that you do not exist. It does not erase your life, your relationships, or your responsibility. It does not deny pain, joy, or meaning. What it challenges is something much more specific. Buddhism does not say, you are nothing. It says, you are not what you think you are. There is no fixed, unchanging I hiding behind experience. No permanent observer standing apart from life, untouched by time. What we call self is not a solid object. It is a pattern, a movement, a process unfolding moment by moment. This insight can feel unsettling at first. Without a fixed self, people worry about accountability. They fear chaos. They wonder who is responsible for actions, choices, or consequences. But the Buddha made something very clear. Even without a permanent me, there is still experience. There is still intention. There is still cause and effect. There is still a path that leads either toward suffering or toward freedom. In fact, it is precisely because the self is not fixed that change is possible. Growth is possible. Liberation is possible. There may be no unchanging I, but there is still awareness, action, and the possibility of awakening. If there is no fixed self, then what exactly are we? According to the Buddha, a human being is not a thing, but a process, not a solid entity, but a living flow of conditions constantly arising and passing away. First, there is the body, the physical form, bones, skin, organs, and senses that interact with the world. The body feels solid, yet it is always changing. Cells renew, age progresses, and nothing remains exactly the same from one moment to the next. Second, there are feelings. Every experience carries a tone: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. These sensations arise automatically and fade just as naturally. Joy does not stay. Pain does not stay. Even numbness passes. Third comes perception, the mind's habit of labeling and interpreting experience. This is where we recognize faces, identify danger, and give meaning to what we see. But perception is imperfect. It simplifies, categorizes, and often misunderstands reality. Fourth, are mental formations, habits, reactions, intentions, and choices. This is where patterns are built. This is where actions shape the future. Here is where karma operates, not as punishment, but as momentum. Finally, there is consciousness awareness itself. But even awareness does not stand alone. It depends on conditions. Seeing consciousness is not hearing consciousness. Thinking consciousness is not feeling consciousness. None of these elements is permanent. None of them exists independently. And none of them can be called a true self. When you look back 10 years, the body is different. Feelings are different. Beliefs, reactions, and priorities have changed. And yet, something continues. Not a fixed identity, but a continuity of conditions. A stream, not a statue. The question then is not who stays the same, but rather, what is being carried forward? Suffering does not arise because life is moving. It arises because we mistake movement for something that should stand still. When a changing process is taken to be a solid identity, tension is born. We cling to what cannot be held, and that clinging quietly shapes our pain. Fear appears when we believe there is something permanent to lose. We worry about status, relationships, youth, reputation, because we imagine a fixed me that owns them. Loss then feels like destruction, not change. Anger arises when we believe a self has been attacked. Words feel sharper. Criticism feels personal. Disagreement becomes a threat, because it seems to strike at the core of who we think we are. Comparison grows from the same misunderstanding. When there is a solid me, there must also be a solid other. Someone above, someone below, someone winning, someone falling behind. The mind keeps measuring, never resting. But none of this suffering comes from weakness. It comes from confusion. The Buddha did not say, "You suffer because you are flawed." He pointed out something far gentler and more precise. We suffer because we hold a flowing process as if it were a fixed self. When this is seen clearly, something shifts. The grip softens. Fear loses its sharp edge. Reactions slow down. And many people feel a quiet relief, often for the first time. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because they realize, I am not broken. I was just holding the wrong thing. When people hear the word rebirth, they often imagine judgment, a cosmic reward for good behavior, a punishment for mistakes, a sentence handed down by the universe. But this is not how the Buddha described it. Rebirth is not a verdict. It is a process. Life continues not because someone decides it should, but because certain conditions remain active. What we call samsara is not a prison created from outside. It is the continuation of habits, mental, emotional, and behavioral, moving forward when they are not understood. The fuel of this movement is craving, the urge to grasp pleasure, the urge to escape discomfort, the urge to become someone, or to disappear entirely. Craving does not wait for the next life to operate. It acts now, shaping choices moment by moment, and every intentional action leaves a direction, a momentum. This momentum is karma, not fate, not punishment, but the natural direction created by repeated intention. Just as a habit continues unless it is interrupted, the stream of experience continues unless its fuel runs out. No one is being forced into rebirth. No self is being dragged from one life to another. What continues is inertia, a movement of mind shaped by desire, fear, and conditioning. And this understanding changes everything. Because if rebirth is not a sentence, then freedom is not something to earn. It is something to understand. When the idea of a permanent soul is released, a new fear often arises. If no soul travels onward, then what connects one life to the next? The Buddha's answer is precise and deeply reassuring. What continues is not a who, but a how. Experience flows forward through causes and conditions, not through an unchanging entity. Nothing jumps from one life to another. Nothing is carried like an object. Consider a flame lighting another candle. The fire continues, yet it is not the same flame. Nothing physical moves, but the process carries on. Or think of a river. It remains a river, yet the water is never the same. The continuity lies in movement, not substance. This is how rebirth functions. Conditions give rise to new conditions. Habits shape tendencies. Intentions leave imprints. There is no owner behind the process. No hidden core traveling through time. And this is where fear begins to dissolve. No one is thrown into another life. No self is punished or rewarded. There is only unfolding, lawful, impersonal, and responsive to understanding. When this is seen clearly, rebirth loses its terror. It no longer feels like exile or judgment. It becomes what it has always been, a process that continues when it is not understood and quiets when it is seen clearly. Nothing is taken away. Nothing is erased. Only the misunderstanding falls away, and with it, a great deal of fear. Rebirth is often imagined as something distant, a dramatic event waiting at the moment of death. But the Buddha pointed to something far closer, far more immediate. Rebirth does not wait. It is happening right now. Every thought that appears in the mind is born. It stays for a brief moment, and then it fades away. Another thought takes its place, shaped by what came before. The same is true for emotions. Joy arises, lingers, and dissolves. Sadness follows, then frustration, then calm. Each emotional state is a small lifetime of its own, a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Most of this happens too quickly to notice. We only feel the illusion of continuity. I am still the same person. But beneath that feeling is a rapid flow of arising and passing away. In this sense, you have already died and been reborn countless times today. The person you were this morning is not identical to the one reading these words now. Something has shifted, even if only slightly. This is rebirth in its most direct form. And here is the crucial insight. When rebirth is seen only as something that happens later, it feels frightening. But when it is seen as a moment-to-moment process, it becomes workable. The one who learns to observe thoughts as they arise and pass is no longer pushed forward by them blindly. Awareness steps back, the wheel slows, and in that space of observation, something extraordinary appears. Not escape from life, but freedom within it. Many people believe freedom comes from collecting answers, more knowledge, more explanations, more beliefs to hold on to. But the Buddha pointed in a different direction. Freedom does not come from adding something new. It comes from seeing what is already happening clearly, honestly, and without distortion. When rebirth is understood as a process rather than a threat, life begins to feel lighter. The future no longer appears as a looming verdict. There is less panic about what must be secured or controlled. At the same time, the past loosens its grip. Old identities, regrets, and labels are no longer treated as permanent truths. They are seen as moments that have already passed. This changes how the present is experienced. Each moment becomes fresh, not because it is perfect, but because it is not trapped by what came before. Understanding rebirth in this way does not make a person passive, it makes them responsive, careful with intention, gentle with themselves and others. The mind no longer has to defend a fixed identity. It can adapt, it can learn, it can let go. From this clarity comes a quiet emotional shift. Less urgency, less fear, more space to breathe. Not an artificial peace, but a natural ease that arises when struggle softens. This is not the end of responsibility. It is the beginning of living without unnecessary weight. The Buddha never asked anyone to accept his words on faith alone. He did not demand belief. He offered an invitation. Look at how thoughts arise and disappear. Look at how emotions come and go. Look closely at what you call me. It's Margat. Is it solid? Is it stable? Or is it a pattern of changing experiences, unfolding moment by moment? You do not need to force an answer. You do not need to reject anything. Simply observe. When a thought appears, notice it. When a feeling arises, feel it fully without clinging. When the sense of I shows up, watch how it forms and fades. In this quiet observation, something becomes clear on its own. If there is no permanent self to defend, perhaps you do not need to fight so hard. If there is no fixed identity to protect, perhaps life does not need to feel so threatening. Nothing essential is lost in this seeing, only tension. And what remains is not emptiness, but openness, not nothingness, but freedom, available not later, but now.